What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. The businessman Dangote of Nigeria is going to be building oil tank facilities in Namibia. That's Pan-Africanism. That's a demonstration of the business community in Africa working together with governments in concert to facilitate two countries so they can both benefit from the natural resources of Africa. You see, we can't depend on the governments of all countries all the time. Sometimes the business leaders of one country can deal with governments that are stable and willing to work in other countries. Sometimes government to government works, but sometimes business leaders need to just work with other business leaders in other countries and use the apparatus that they have to make things happen. And this is the kind of Pan-Africanism that's going to take Africa upwards. All right, that's what's happening. And this is just a small example of what's happening on the continent throughout all the countries. There's thousands of projects like this happening in Africa where Africans are creating their own internal markets because Africa needs nothing from no one. Africa can take care of Africa by itself with all of Africa's ingenuity, all of Africa's resources, and all of Africa's apparatuses. They need nothing from Europe. Europe need not to be involved in African affairs when it comes to these type of things. And what's going to happen? Once Africa's nodes connect, if you understand what a node is, once Africa's nodes connect and all the synapses are firing off, then all of those other countries will come begging to get a smidget of the African market. Because when the African market starts to mature, it will be the only market that matters in the world. Right now, you see all nations of the world are trying to have a relationship with Africa. I know a lot of uneducated people in America seem to think because they're coming from a white supremacist, mentally ill, white perspective, and they think that any business Africa does with any other country is that country colonizing Africa. That means you don't give the benefit of doubt that Africans know what they're doing. Some of them, even though we know there's corruption in Africa, but we also know there's corruption in supposed the greatest country in the world, America, right? We can see that any country can be attacked by corruption, by an infestation of corruption, right? So we, as Americans, right, have no right to judge any other country when it comes to their corruption until we're able to handle our corruption and not pretend like what's happening is not happening. But what's happening in Africa is that African countries are starting to take their resources, control their resources, own their resources, profit from their resources, and share their resources with other Africans who need those resources. Instead of feeding Europeans like the black woman used to feed the white baby back in the antebellum days. You know how many black women had to put their black teat and feed that white man? That's what happened on the macro scale, how Africa took its teat and fed white nations and created those great white nations that you see nowadays that they're so proud of. But those nations would have never been created if they didn't have the teat of Africa feeding them. But you see, we have popped the teat of Africa out of that white man's mouth. And now he has to chew his own food. But you see, his teeth are soft because he never chewed his own food. So now they may starve. But that's not our problem because we have everything we need. And this is an example of what Africa is doing. For all those who think Africa's not doing anything, Africa's a continent. Africa has 50 plus countries. Africa, landmass, is basically the world. You can fit the rest of the world in Africa. That's how big it is. And we, African people, are on the rise. And there's absolutely nothing anyone else can do to stop it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach them. I'm out.
Nigeria's Dangote Petroleum Refinery plans to build large fuel storage tanks in Namibia as the company seeks to expand its footprint in Africa. The storage tanks in Namibia would at any given time be able to hold at least 1.6 million barrels of petrol and diesel. One barrel is equivalent to 159 liters of oil, meaning the storage facility in Namibia would be able to accommodate nearly 255 million liters of fuel. Citing sources privy to the plan, Reuters news agency reported on Wednesday, July 9th, that the storage tanks would be built in Namibia's port city, Walvis Bay. Besides supplying Namibia, Dangote Refinery plans to supply petrol and diesel to the neighboring nations of Botswana, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. A Namibia Ports Authority official confirmed the plans to Reuters, saying the storage tanks would be housed within the Walvis Bay harbor. By road, Walvis Bay is roughly 400 kilometers west of Namibia's capital, Windhoek. Reuters reports that Dangote is also considering supplying fuel to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The news agency said the construction of the storage tanks would begin soon. The project's construction cost is unclear as of now. Dangote Refinery did not immediately respond to a request for comment in February 2025. Zambia said it was considering purchasing fuel from Nigeria's Dangote Refinery for its domestic market. That announcement followed high-level discussions between Zambia's senior government officials and Nigerian businessman Aliko Dangote. Currently, the 650,000 barrel per day Dangote Refinery produces 57 million liters of petrol daily, that's 7 million liters of diesel, and 20 million liters of jet fuel daily. The output is enough to supply Nigeria, which has a daily fuel consumption of 46 million liters and still have more for export. In June, Reuters reported that a Dangote petroleum cargo was heading to Asia, marking the first time the refinery was selling petrol outside the West African region. Dangote Refinery, which is in Nigeria's Lagos state, started operations in January 2024. It was constructed at a cost of $20 billion by Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote. The facility refines domestically and externally sourced crude to petrol, diesel, and jet fuel, among other petroleum products. 68-year-old Dangote, whose net worth is approximately $28 billion, also has business interests in fertilizer production. In June 2025, the Ethiopian government said it was in the final stages of signing a $3 billion fertilizer deal with billionaire Dangote. As part of that ambitious plan, Dangote is expected to build a large-scale fertilizer plant in Ethiopia's southeastern area of Gode. Currently, Ethiopia largely imports its fertilizer from Russia and Morocco. Dangote's $2.5 billion fertilizer plant in Nigeria's Lagos state produces 3 million tons of fertilizer annually.
Wait. Before you go, for all my subscribers and philanthropists out there, I'm building a solar power community water bowl system in Nigeria. It's going to cost between $5,000 and $6,000. I'm trying to raise money. If you want to participate and help me build this solar power water system, please donate to the Cash App and put solar water in the notes. Solar water in the notes. I'll put PayPal, Stripe, and Zelle. Anyway, thank you. That's all I gotta say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out. Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.